Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our second in the series, Cherry Bekaert's 2022 Professional Services Virtual Conference. My name is Scott Duda. I'm a partner with Cherry Bekaert and the leader of our Professional Services Industry Group. Our virtual conference series is designed to provide quality, industry-specific CPE at convenient times, all free of charge. We're offering general sessions for all professional service firms, as well as sessions specific to A&E firms, law firms, and financial service firms. We hope you're able to join us over these next coming months for our ongoing virtual series. Please visit the link in the chat to register for any upcoming sessions. A couple of housekeeping items before we get started. To receive CPE credit, and I know y'all aren't here specifically for CPE, but if you are here, I know you want it. To receive CPE credit, you must answer 3 polling questions and attend for the full 50-minute session. CPE certificates will be issued via email within 10 days. If you've not received your certificate after 10 days, please email cbhlearning@cbh.com. You see that on the screen. A recorded version of this webinar will be available in about a week and will be sent via email and posted to our website as well. If you have questions during the webinar, there's a Q&A window, and please type your questions in that Q&A window. It's in your control panel in Zoom, and we'll be monitoring that. Another note, a short survey will be posted at the conclusion of the webinar. We value your feedback, and we ask that you please take part in that. Now, with the housekeeping out of the way, I want to go ahead and introduce Dan Mitzenmacher, Managing Director at Cherry Bekaert, who's going to present on digital analytics and providing insights. Dan?
Thanks, Scott. Hi, everyone. I'm Dan Mitzenmacher, and I'm a Managing Director in Cherry Bekaert's Digital Advisory Group. I've got over 20 years of experience in technology and business transformation consulting experience. Currently live in Lexington, Kentucky. Grew up on the West Coast in Los Angeles, California, and love water sports, miss the ocean. But get to do now some water skiing and travel, and being in Kentucky area, have taken to some of Kentucky's finest horses, basketball, and bourbon, and am a collector of fine bourbon. Today, we're going to be talking about data analytics and automation and leveraging the power of data to make business decisions. We're going to talk about some professional services use cases, and we're going to talk about a methodology in order to define your strategy around data and analytics in the future. So, quick overview. We're going to start with the data and automation opportunity. Talk about the maturity model of where different companies are from a data and analytics standpoint. Look at some industry use cases and discuss the methodology of looking at your data analytics journey. We will start off with a polling question. So remember, this is to get your CPE credit. Make sure you fill out the polling questions. So we'll start with, does your organization have a well-articulated strategy and approach for bridging the gap between data and analytics and insights? We'll give a minute of your time to fill in the polling question. And as we go here as well, if you do have any questions, please use the Q&A feature, and we'll address as we go. All right, poll results are up, and the majority have said no, but we recognize the need for this type of strategy. So good, that will be a good start to helping you define this journey. A few of you have a strategy, but need some help and guidance. All right. So let's first talk about the opportunity for data and analytics and automation. So first off, data, a very powerful asset. Some have said the world's most valuable resource is no longer oil, but data. Given gas prices these days, I'm not sure if they may be close to equivalent, but certainly data is a very important asset that every company has that can help us drive decisions and improve business performance overall. And the sheer amount of data that is out there in the world, either from transactional business processes or users on the internet, is everywhere. There's 2.5 quintile bytes of data produced on the internet every day. And, given all of this data out there, automation, being able to use this data without manual processes to help drive decision-making is really a necessity in today's business world. So data can help accelerate decision processes, make better decisions, create a consistent experience for users, allows us to grow and optimize our business and do more with less based on the information we have at hand. So data, people, processes, and technology are kind of the intersection of areas which drive our ability to read and react in the business environment. So there's a lot of questions that we have from a professional services standpoint, and leveraging data in conjunction with our processes and people allow us to drive insights and make better decisions and develop action plans, which we can create better outcomes for our business overall. So what are some outcomes that we could use data for? We could understand our customer, whether it be leveraging CRM systems or user surveys to understand our customers, their wants, their desires and needs, and we can help optimize our operations, financial or operational data that runs our business, protect our business from a risk standpoint to manage compliance, innovate and change how we go to market, and enable our workforce. So some of the benefits: speed, analysis, savings, innovation, and allow us to compete. These are all benefits with which data enable our businesses, and being able to automate and leverage data quicker and drive decisions that optimize our business is key to growth in today's environment. So moving on here to polling question 2. Internet users today produce how many bytes of data every day? 2.5 gigabytes, 2.5 terabytes, 2.5 quintillion bytes, or none of the above? Please be sure to get your answers in for CPE credit. All right. Most of us paying attention there. It's 2.5 quintillion bytes per day. All right. Now I want to talk about the data and automation maturity model. So, obviously every company, has data and is leveraging data in some way, but really in different, each of us have different uses of these data today. So there's a maturity model, which we use to look at the complexity and business value which we leverage data today. So in its most basic form, we use reports and are able to analyze data with descriptive analytics, things that tell us about what's happening, allow us to basically look in the past in terms of what has happened. Then predictive analytics that looks at what should be done, future forecasting and monitoring of data. And then in the upper right hand corner, predictive and prescriptive, which are advanced analytic capabilities. Throughout each of these, we use digital platforms and technologies to help enable analytics. Moving on to polling question number 3. What is the highest level of data analytics complexity your company is leveraging in your data and automation journey? Reporting, analysis, monitoring, forecasting, predictive, or prescriptive? All right, we have a wide range, but most folks are in the forecasting level today. All right, now we're going to discuss some of the use case, some of the digital solutions out there for analytics use cases. And we're going to start off talking about the Office of Finance. Cherry Bekaert is an accounting advisory firm, obviously had a lot of focus in the Office of Finance. So we'll start there and then also talk about different other professional service use cases as well. So within the Office of Finance, these are some common use cases that we see. And this goes pretty much across industry in order to enable the Office of Finance, whether it be tax or financial performance and analytics, audit, accounting and operations, or treasury. There is a wide range of use cases in which we could use data and analytics to help make informed decision and help increase our efficiency of financial operations. So for example, from a tax standpoint, tax planning, reporting. From an FP&A standpoint, KPIs around financial profitability and customer segmentation. From a compliance standpoint, fraud detection. And from an accounting and treasury standpoint, cash application, investment reporting. All of these are common use cases that we see using data in order to enable processes. Some additional use cases around finance. Moving on. Investor relations, financial controls and policy, statutory reporting, management performance reporting, and finally, transformation office of a PMO and portfolio management. Again, all common use cases around the Office of Finance, which data can be leveraged. specifically from a professional services standpoint in industries such as architecture and engineering, accounting, law firms, financial services, and government contractors. There are several use cases that we break down into operational, talent management, and sales areas, which further enhance our abilities to optimize the business. So from an operational standpoint, this allows us to manage the business, whether it be a project lifecycle, to manage cost and profitability, or timeline management around projects. From a professional services standpoint, obviously managing our human resources, our talent is key to our success. So capacity, sourcing and recruiting, learning and development, these are common use cases which we leverage data in professional services. And then finally, from a sales standpoint, managing pipeline, planning, and our customer demographics around targeting. Now we leverage a set of capabilities, whether it be business intelligence, dashboarding, reporting, automation, security. These are capabilities which we leverage using platforms such as accounting systems, ERP, enterprise resource planning systems, customer relationship management systems, project management systems. These are all the systems which we use to enable those capabilities. At Cherry Bekaert, we bring capabilities around a set of solutions, Microsoft Tableau, Alteryx, Sage Intacct, and Nintex, to enable those capabilities and focus on use cases that are specific to the professional services industry. For example, we'll look at a couple of use cases and things that we've done in the industry that have helped other companies in leveraging their data. At FMI Corporation, we help them innovate for growth. They had a number of different data sources which they were using, but had a lot of manual processes, and this created inefficiencies in their overall workflows and capabilities. So we help them storyboard how to leverage their data in order to automate different business processes, and deployed automation through workflows and use reporting capabilities to take the large amounts of data that they had, bring them together into visualizations that enabled them to drive better insight and create more efficient processes. Another use case for Tyson and Mendez, a law firm that we worked with, helped them to automate their business processes and get more out of their data as well. For them, they had a very manual Excel-based tracking, especially of their resources in how they manage the time, which manage the tracking of hours of their resources, and being able to report and leverage insights from that in order to help them manage their business and resources. So we developed a solution for them that took various data sources and, sorry, give me a moment. Took various data sources, brought them together for reporting, and did that in a centralized fashion with visualizations and dashboards that allowed them to track their business on a timely basis. At Purple Wave, which is a online auctioneer of construction and fleet equipment, we help them on their data journey develop a strategy and plan, which was focused on the customer lifecycle and segmentation of their customer. And we leverage tools to help them deploy both reporting needs around understanding their customer needs and driving a better customer experience. All right, polling question number 4. Is the continued digitalization of your business important to your growth strategy? We'll give you a minute to get your answer in. All right, the answers are in, and for most people, digitization is in the upper half of your priorities as a whole. All right, now we're going to talk about the methodology in which to define your data and automation journey moving forward. So the following is an overview of our Cherry Bekaert methodology in which we use to work with clients in developing their roadmap and plan going forward. So the first step is to assess, in which we really start to understand the current state and the background of what is going on in your current environment. And then we work to align and based off of your objectives and the overall environment, we align our strategy to your objectives moving forward. Then in the solve, this is where we're really starting to solution and develop the roadmap for how to move forward with your data strategy. We looked at the business rules, the data model, and the architecture. And then finally, the realize stage, which we develop that roadmap, we get executive sponsorship, and have a clear view of our recommendations to move forward. All right, in this first stage of our data methodology, we look at assessing the current environment. This is where we work with the business and stakeholders throughout the organization. We do interviews and understand the needs of the organization. We understand where the data resides. We understand what the objectives of that data are. We get understanding of this current environment in order to develop some hypotheses for how that data can be used throughout the organization to help automate business processes, drive better decision-making based off of industry trends and your current technology landscape. How can data be better used? What are our strengths and weaknesses in organization and opportunities and threats, and how can we leverage data throughout the environment? This is really a data gathering stage in which we understand the environment and are able to get a clearer view of what can be done to help. Then in our align phase, this is the most strategic and important phase, which we look at our business objectives and how we can leverage that data in order to enhance our business model. So we look at our overall industry and how we can leverage data, what others are doing from an industry perspective, what other benchmarks are there. We develop our plan based off of the internal and external environments. How do we manage our data today, and how can we manage it better in the future? What are the systems, the processes, and how are the people impacted by data? Once we have our strategy clearly defined, we could help develop solutions based off of this alignment. Then finally, our next phase is around solving, and this is helping to address how we will move forward from a technology landscape standpoint, from an architecture standpoint. What are the tools and solutions that we want to use? And there's a lot of different options here. So this is where we're looking at your existing environment, what investments you have currently. What are some of the industry standards? How do we reshape our data model and develop a platform for analytics in the future that's scalable? There's, we mentioned some of our key solutions with Microsoft and Tableau, Alteryx. These are all different tools and capabilities that can be used to address different business problems. And in this phase, we also look at some of the people components of how we will manage that today and in the future. So how do we integrate different systems and the people and processes around them in order to execute? So there are numerous different tools out there in the space. Microsoft was Tableau and Alteryx are three of the key ones that we focus on. A lot of people have a current investment in Microsoft solutions and technologies. And so there are different capabilities of leveraging the analytic tools that are inherent within that tool set. And what we help is from a data analytics journey. We help develop use cases and prioritize those with you. So we understand from the previous alignment phase where those key what the key things that drive your business may be, and we can help to develop what use cases in that area would be a best fit for you, what industry solutions and use cases would help drive the most impact to your business. So Power BI has some capabilities for analytics, and then Tableau from a data visualization standpoint is also a key tool which we use and leverage a lot to drive reporting and analytic capabilities with visualizations that gather data in one place and allow you to your users and to focus on making the right decisions and seeing their data in an optimized format. And Alteryx, another tool which now allows us to use workflows with the data too. All right, the last phase is our realize phase. And this is when our strategic roadmap comes together with a set of recommendations and a roadmap for moving forward. And it's critically important at this phase to get executive sponsorship and with this overall plan in order to get everyone on the same page with how to move forward with our recommendations. So since we've focused on our objectives and developed solutions which are based off of the best course of action to optimize our business, we then have a plan, a timeline with a set of initiatives and a business case for moving forward, and get everybody within the organization on the same page for how to move forward and implement those. And that includes a work plan, a set of objectives, a resource plan in order to move forward and be successful. And we take all this and it's key to kind of communicate that throughout the organization to get everyone on the same page with what we're going to do in order to execute. And this vision for our future state in how we are going to leverage data and what it is we want to accomplish with connecting systems and using data to drive better decision making.
Dan, I've been monitoring the chat, and I've got a couple of questions for you that we've seen come through.
Yeah.
So the first is, I think this might be more of maybe an earlier stage company. It says, we have several siloed systems. What's the first step to determining how we start on this journey?
Great question. So, and this is very, very common that we see that, a company has multiple different systems, and they're trying to figure out how to gather the data into one place in order to get better insights from that data. So, following this methodology, the best thing to do is to understand your current state. Where is our data from all these different data sources? And then what is it that we are looking to get out of that data? What are the questions that we need in order to drive better results? What are the key KPIs that drive our business? And, then with that, we can define a plan. How do we need to connect the different systems in order to access that data, to address the questions that we have? And what is a plan and roadmap that we can create that will enable that? So really following this methodology to understand that current state, understand the problems that we are trying to address, understand the different options from technology solution standpoint, and then define a plan which we have a clear business case for and will drive specific actions. And if we can get everyone on board with that plan and a business case, then we could define how to move forward and realize the benefits of connecting those systems.
Okay. You'd mentioned sort of getting buy-in, and the next question relates to that. In your experience, what stakeholders are needed to support this and ensure it's going to be successful?
Yeah, it's a great question. So from a stakeholder management standpoint, it really goes up and down the organization. So, at the executive level, there are, KPIs and metrics which need to be defined in order to manage the business. And then at the user level, those with most access to the data and ability to kind of influence the data, they're able to define how to connect those systems and where that data is, and how to be able to connect the different systems to enable those results. So it's really a wide range of sponsorship, both from the user level of knowing the data and knowing the processes, and then at the executive level, defining the KPIs and things that are most important to the business strategy as a whole. And aligning, throughout the organization to get everyone on the same page, why those KPIs and how to get data out of multiple systems, is key, and communication throughout the organization of this plan in order to enable that.
Okay. Another question, what is too small to start this process? Where do you see companies in terms of revenue size, when they're starting this analytics analysis?
Yes. Data and analytics is important to every size organization, from startup to small to medium-sized business to enterprise level clients. So every company, faces similar challenges in terms of how and when to leverage data. So it's very important to start your data journey early and revisit that strategy throughout the process. So there really is no limits from a from a small to large company in how and when to start the data journey. And another thing that's very important is to constantly revisit that strategy as well throughout your company's life cycle, because data and systems and the processes change as your company grows. And what the complexity may grow over time, right? As you grow and scale and have more resources, more systems, then the complexity of the data typically changes. But even in the smallest of company, having a data strategy up front, and whether it be starting small and with the most kind of common use cases around financial operations and sales reporting, and then growing that into that complexity and that curve that we looked at in the initial maturity model, because over time your use cases will become more complex, and but you constantly need to revisit that strategy and look at additional ways to optimize your business and use data throughout that journey.
Okay, we have one other question come in while you were speaking. What's the sort of normal timeline or deadline for delivery of projects like this? And I know in my experience, when y'all have worked with my clients, it can be everything from just, we need this one piece of information and you all are going to jump in there and figure out how to pull it from the different systems and give us a dashboard with just that one piece of information that we need. And then I think on one of the case studies, I know you all started that way. It was sort of we want this one issue solved. And then as you got in there, solved that issue, but then they saw how easy it was to get the information out of their system. And then it was, well, if we can get that, can we go back and get these others? So this question, and then maybe you can talk about that a little bit, but the timeline or deadline on delivery of projects like this.
Yeah. Very wide range, right? So many times we come in and are being asked to help with one specific use case, right? And that might be, a very specific business problem of, wanting to address a question, right? How do I measure, time spent on, specific projects from a resource standpoint. So, within addressing a single issue, that could be very, very quick. You could do that in days and weeks on very small use cases. But what we also find is that you get a taste of one use case, and you're able to develop additional use cases that get kind of more excitement throughout the organization of how they can use data in different ways. So for one use case around managing project based time may then say, well, how do I then optimize my resource capabilities across multiple projects? And so, addressing one question, which can be done in a very short amount of time, may enable your thinking across the organization for how do I do multiple use cases. And one thing that we do is, while we can, look at one use case and address one single issue in a short order, many times customers want to work with us in a longer term strategic fashion, where over a series of multiple weeks or months, or even kind of an annualized approach to taking use cases and deploying that throughout the organization over and over again. So, we're working with a company where we have a flexible contract structure and we do multiple use cases per month. And that allows us to get some scale and build some internal knowledge and skill set of how to use the data. And that actually involves a lot more kind of strategic thinking in developing more and more use cases that could help that business throughout. So what often starts as just one use case then goes and build into multiple use cases that we can deploy across the organization in a flexible manner over a longer period.
Okay, so we had one other question come in. Said, do you find that more people are using this to mitigate risk or to look for ways to grow their business?
Really both. I mean, it depends on the challenges of your business. Overall, I would say that the first and foremost use cases are typically around managing the business, operational. What do we need to do to increase our performance? But then, risk management and compliance areas, tracking of training and things like that are very common use cases as well. So I would say the most common use cases are around optimizing and growing the business, but risk and compliance are not far behind that as well. All right, so this is our last polling question here. And this comes from the methodology in which to help develop your data and automation journey. There are 4 key areas of the data and automation methodology: listen, acquire, measure, realize, assess, align, solve, realize, assess, align, measure, and solve, or none of the above. We'll take another minute here to review.
And if anyone has any last questions in the chat, feel free to post them there and we'll address them as we wrap up the poll.
All right. Well, most of us got it right there. Assess, align, solve, and realize. So again, understanding your current environment with the assess phase, and then aligning on your business objectives, solving and developing the strategy, and then creating the roadmap and recommendations to achieve those objectives.
Very good.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining. And I think we helped define some use cases, look at some use cases and really understand the needs and desires around data analytics and the benefits of that. And then define a methodology for getting started in your data journey and figuring out a plan to move forward.
Yeah. Thanks, Dan. That concludes this session of our series. Thanks again for joining us. Thanks again, Dan, for your insights and valuable tips. If you have additional questions regarding today's topic, please reach out to us at any time. Our contact information is in the materials. We value your feedback and ask again that you participate in the short survey coming up. It'll appear as soon as you leave the session. And as a reminder, please continue to check the registration site for upcoming sessions for these recordings and also for our additional sessions. The next one is Tuesday, November 8th at noon Eastern. It's going to be on hot topics and planning opportunities within the CHIPS Act and the Inflation Reduction Act for A&E firms, specifically for A&E firms. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate you joining us.